Bill Bowtell is a long-time and leading health policy advisor, both here in Australia and overseas. And he's currently Executive Director of the Pacific Friends of the Global Fund. Bill, thanks very much for joining us. Could you just tell us a bit about the role that your organisation plays in treating and managing HIV?
Well, Pacific Friends of the Global Fund exists to advocate in Australia and in the Pacific region to support the great work of the Global Fund to fight AIDS, TB and malaria. Every 3 years the Global Fund has to go to the international community and ask for the support of donors, including Australia, to do its great work. That's getting antiretroviral therapy to people who are HIV positive or insecticide treated bed nets or tuberculosis or so on. Needs about $12–15 billion every 3 years. So you can imagine it's a very big effort required to persuade donor governments like Australia to keep supporting the Global Fund.
What specific challenges does the Pacific region face in terms of HIV?
Well, of course it's a very big region, it's a very diverse region, and right adjacent to Australia we have two very interesting countries affected by HIV. One is Papua New Guinea, which has a very difficult geography, a very poor standard really of basic health care services, and we know we've got about 40,000 people affected by HIV. Could have been a lot worse, and the Papua New Guinea government and authorities have done a good job in trying to contain it, but it is a problem. And then of course we've got Indonesia, which is a massive, diverse country, and they've got HIV. Every form of HIV epidemic exists in Indonesia, from Jakarta, the big metropolitan areas, to the rural and remote and regional areas in Papua.
Yes, well, I mean Indonesia itself, is such an expansive country, isn't it? In terms
you
of
can't make generalisations about Indonesia, even though that's a generalisation.
Yes, that's right. How extensive is funding for work in the region at the moment, and what can be done, I guess, to increase that funding?
Well, the Global Fund accumulates a great deal of resources, new money from the international community, and directs it to HIV treatment especially. There are big bilateral programs, the United States, some of the European Union countries, Australia, Japan, they have big bilateral programs. And of course increasingly what we're seeing are the countries themselves that are affected are taking over the burden of providing treatment to their own people. So one of the great things in the last 10 years, there was a lot of effort internationally, but many countries, including Indonesia, even Papua New Guinea to a degree, are stepping forward and funding and putting these treatment access on a sustained basis, which of course in the end is the only way it can be done. The countries most affected by this disease burden have to step up to the mark and improve the funding going to their health systems and improve access of their populations to antiretroviral therapies.
Well, Bill, thanks very much. Sounds like you're doing some fantastic work in the Pacific region, and thanks very much for coming on to tell us all about it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.